Okay. Hi, everyone. So, this discussion is around net neutrality, and particularly from the standpoint view of so much is happening over the internet without even understanding the power of internet. So, perhaps I'll walk you through whatever I think are important because when you are actually plumbing the data in the online world, there's so much of data set, but at the same point of time, what data is important is very important. And understanding the laws and the regulations around internet has been a question mark, not only for the regulators, stakeholders, every candidate on the internet has no clue what net neutrality is all about. And I'll just, from my 25th sense of understanding, I'll talk about it. So perhaps there are a lot of data set which I have retrieved, and I'm just looking at it and would be discussing it. If anybody has any question at any given point of time, you can put your question here. It's live right now. Perhaps afterwards also you can just send a DM, and accordingly we'll look into it. Um, at the outset, net neutrality is the principle of MNOs and the governments, which is basically nothing but the stakeholders, to treat all data. When I say all data, means anything and everything in terms of data on the internet equally. So whatever the data is on the internet, it has to be equal. No blocking, no throttling, no paid prioritization over the data that is supplied by an ISP to reach a legal site. So perhaps I'll start with this. There's a lot of data set I wanted to discuss about, but let me see. I'll be walking you through this understanding for maybe next 30 plus minutes. So let's get into deep dive and understand this. So basically, it's talking about the one which I have in front of me is delivering mobile internet services which can be manipulated. So again, data manipulation has been, I mean, it has been the core of everything right now. I was surprised seeing a simple data set of a KYC, which is to know your customer, is being rigged. So this is basically manipulation to meet the expectations of the OTT partners without violating the guidelines of net neutrality of being an ISP. So first of all, let's deep dive into this. And perhaps before deep diving, I'll walk you through some of the IPCs which I feel is important in this particular case. Um, Perhaps what is important here is to appreciate the IPCs. God, I can't do without a. Okay, anyhow. Uh, okay, so smart card, SIM card, or any different communication terminal is being taken as an additional device in this particular case. And this is basically H04L63/0853. So it's network architecture or network communication protocols for network security for authentication of entities using an additional device. So entities in terms of what we are doing, the Custic algorithm, which I have invented and which we are using in multiple sectors, it can be utilized in all sectors. So that's a good thing. But it's only to do with the wide economy, and that's why we have these guide rails and everything, whatever we can think of, so that everything is protected. So in this particular case, what we are doing is so we have replaced the word entity with candidates. So even a child, a senior, um, any natural person or alien, whatever the word is in terms of the annotation, is taken as a candidate. Okay, so ISP is basically internet service provider. Then we have mobile networks provided by MNOs, that is basically mobile network operators. And with hardware equipment of 3G or 4G base stations extensively spread, the competition between the mobile network operators is getting intense, and we all know what kind of marketing is being done. And again, just trying to obviate the stuff. The AI part also comes into existence, where I'm not going there right now. So, okay, perhaps let's do one thing. I'll just go through the background first, and then we will. Okay, so the telecom regulators. So in US we have FCC, and in India we know it's TRI. They are starting to watch after how these mobile network operators are collaborating the mechanism with the OTTs. So the MNO approaches such as zero rating and blocking for particular OTTs are likely violating the guidelines of net neutrality, and regulators are making the rule which is keen to prohibit the mobile network operators from any kind of manipulation over the network and billing system by providing internet service. So, what are we pushing? We are pushing the mobile network operators to the position of being a dumb pipe, and the mobile network operators will permanently face the challenge of price erosion. Hence, to manage this, we have multiple. um we have multiple. Just give me a moment. Where are we going? Okay, so okay, I like this. Okay, so we have multiple IMSI within a single mobile device, where the mobile network operators are capable to transform their roles of carriers from ISP to ASP. So ASP perhaps is application service provider. By IMSI switching, giving the customer the choice between the legacy mobile internet and whatever the service is being prioritized. So perhaps a very good example would be when you are purchasing a handheld device, you have some preloaded, applications. So that is like, pushing the applications through that particular handheld device. After this, so by making internet service an option and giving the customer choices and awareness between mobile internet and managed OTT services, the mobile network operators can unleash themselves from the constraint of net neutrality and obtain the freedom to play around with the billing system and network to achieve OTT partners' expectations. So aggressively, basically, MNOs can sell their IMSI to the OTTs like M2M model in order to increase revenue stream. Um, so particularly this particular application which I have retrieved, it has been on research and developing a system where multiple services are provided over the network, that is a communication network which is based on multiple IMSI management. So how you manage everything, that is very important. And the system is able to resolve the issues and help the network operators to manage the OTT partners. And the system help the network operators to provide improved service level and personalization for the customers. So I have been very vocal about it over the years, not only filing this patent application which I have, but from the longest time, because I wrote loads of application for the telcos way back. I mean, I don't want to talk about it. It's like almost 2 decades now. Now, perhaps I'll just get this understanding and just give me a moment. I'm putting it into my algo and see what it says. So the point is, we cannot allow one particular operator of any sort to control the internet, because the internet has to be clean. So when I say clean, clean means clean, absolute clean. Um, okay, so what has happened is, with the usage of the 3G and the 4G, the handheld device has become the new modem. And suddenly, these applications like Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, Netflix, TikTok, they're riding on the operator's radio network without paying a cent and without taking permission. So perhaps they're just, they're using their layer, whatever work has been done at the infra level by the telcos. And these applications are just riding on that without giving even a cent, stating the other factors, and the argument continues. So this free ride is what the industry calls as the over the top. So OTT basically is over the top, means the base layer which was developed for whatever reasons, no money has been paid, and just these OTTs are like, just trying to fly without giving the due fiat or whatever, cryptocurrencies for the development which has been done by the telcos. And so why mobile operators? So these MNOs, they hate this deal. Um, in order to just, run the show, they have to buy the spectrum, they have to build towers to carry the OTT traffic. Now let me tell you, I'm not a big fan of the OTTs, or perhaps um, because of so much internet traffic, because people are watching so much. And let me tell you, that is the main garbage that needs to be sanitized. Internet per se doesn't need to be sanitized, because it can be utilized for good stuff also. So this sanitization, the garbage is at the OTT level, which is the over the top. So a lot of infra has to be developed just to carry that much of traffic over the internet. So the seamless transmission can happen. So users must pay, or perhaps the candidates who are using the MNOs, that is the mobile network operator range, uh, for the raw gigabytes, and the OTT collects. Now, what is happening right now is on these OTT platforms, you have these advertisements and the subscription money. Subscription money, let me tell you, is negligible as far as the kind of infra, the number of people who are employed, and the intelligence which has been utilized to develop the infra at the first place. So you must like, perhaps it's basically talking about, so OTT is collecting the advertising and the subscription money. When I talk about OTT is collecting the advertising, so we know in the telcos also. So even if I talk about FCCs and the others, whether it's India and the other countries, so sister concern of these companies are somehow, uh, monetizing over the advertisement. So net neutrality rule says, now what does the rule say, or what is the main essence or the very simple building block of the same, is you may block, you may not block. So you cannot, I won't say the may is not the right word. So you cannot block, slow, or charge the OTTs separately. That's what net neutrality is all about. And the result is, uh, the mobile network operators, they are becoming like a dumb pipe. So what is the workaround? The same, because this is a very big problem statement for the industry, perhaps, is many, we have these small devices, the sim. So sim itself is a, it has a lot of tech involved. So many sims in one phone. So like, perhaps if you go for the eSIM and stuff, then you have, two slots, and then even, whatever slot has been created, it is increasing the size of the handle device. So instead of one SIM card, the phone holds several virtual SIM profiles, that is, many IMSIS. And the customer, I would rather say, I have replaced on our Impula, which we are developing right now. Obviously, the devices would be available only to few folks in the very beginning, at the outset, because we need to see how they are able to utilize it in the best possible way. So the candidate or an app can flip between them in seconds. So it is basically, the traffic is diverted. So whenever there's free traffic and the pipelines are, free, that data set is diverted to the other one. Um, so each IMSI is sold under its own contract. See, for example, in India we have Airtel. So perhaps I have most, all, or at least the Indian data set. So I have Airtel everywhere in terms of 1, 2 slot, and then the eSIMs and stuff. So neutral internet, IMSI, is the best effort data. Exactly looks today till covered by neutrality law. Most folks don't understand that in terms of law, because it needs a lot of precision, it needs a lot of understanding of the protocols, it needs a lot of understanding of the tech, not from the per se point of view of what people have studied in their school or colleges. It's much more right now. And the traffic from one particular application or bundle of application, which obviously the app model is totally broken right now, is given priority, zero rating or special QoS. The OTT or the user pays the operator extra for that sim. So that's like, we have these monthly recharges just to cover this cost. um, because the two services are delivered through two different subscriber identities, um, the mobile network operators are arguing that is no longer discriminating inside one pipe. It is simply offering two distinct pipes, and the customer is able to select which one to open. Let me tell you, most folks don't have that capacity to even understand. They think it's just like tuck, 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 click, 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 and the magic will happen. That's not the reality of internet. Okay. Um, so net neutrality is the rule of the internet access provider must treat all lawful traffic equally once you have paid for that particular line. It does not say that you can only sell one kind of line. It says inside the line, the customer is what you may not pick the winners and the losers. Okay, I want to make it more simple. I had to. Okay. I think a part of whatever I discussed um, was on mute, but it's okay. Um, so the physical form of whatever we discussed, we need to have eSIM. That's the new world order, and or a thin film SIM sticker that sits on top of the normal SIM. Uh, while you are on a voice call, you can still switch data. That is IMSI, and the call stays up. All special IMSI can be capped to a traffic allowance. It can be any service, cloud, video, VPN, VoIP, roaming can be sold on its own IMSI. So, when I talk about the operator, so it's basically you're not prioritizing the packets inside one pipe. It's simply selling two different pipes. So that's how you can, just segregate the stuff and still be part of the net neutrality. Um, and you need to still ask yourself three important questions. Can the user keep using the neutral IMSI without penalty? Is radio capacity genuinely reserved for each IMSI, or is the neutral one silently degraded, or the special purpose IMSI offered transparently or bundled in a way that hides the neutral option? And as an operator, if you can prove yes, I would rather say pass, pass, pass. We discussed yesterday. There's something called as pass. There's something called as fail. Just if you can answer the three different buckets, then it's basically um, you are not under the pretext of the whatever the net neutrality rules are. But it is very clear that all these platforms, whether it's um, Netflix, Facebook, Instagram, and all, they are running ads, and that is causing the cyber. Like we did a lot of cyber drills. I was part of it way back, and the urgent attention is like, okay, I'll give you one example. This is one of the stuff which happened, and I have these emails, and also there's a brand called as Saint Botanica in India, and perhaps from the same house, one person books it because obviously seniors have no clue what they're doing because they're just tuned to the internet. And I think I personally believe that the operators should be given that authority from the try to stop these cyber attacks. Is if a person is just browsing, you have to give them a break time. You have to tell them, okay, you were online for 5 minutes, please take 5 minutes break. So you cannot enter the internet. You need that break so that the tuning which is being set by these Facebook and all has to be stopped, because just having these case laws in other countries where they have no cognizance. Because what happens is, in this particular case, one person did prepaid, I did post, I always, no, one person did cash on delivery. I always do prepaid. Because I live in white economy, so, and I give my GSTs and everything. That's a very white kind of work. Um, Perhaps in this particular case, what happened was, um, the person who was delivering. So because they know that seniors have no cognizance, they are like, they are clueless about what's happening on the internet. They are using internet without even knowing uh, how good internet can be utilized, because for them it's like after a particular age, though you can always take it as a pendulum and you can increase the longevity, but due to the negligence of the human capacity building exercises which is not being conducted right now, and which should be the protocol, the mobile operators should be given the opportunity when the person is on any particular app and that app is actually throwing you advertisements, and that person is clicking on those advertisements, it has to stop. Because in this particular case, even if it was a prepaid, everything was given, emails were exchanged, and obviously how long you're just going to get after these people. Because this is also kind of a gang kind of stuff, because um, human capacity building is not being done by these internet companies. I mean, you take any of these internet companies, maybe they are deploying people, they are deploying 25,000, I would rather say 50,000 people are being deployed. Okay, you are giving employment, but what about the human capacity building? What about the due diligence of the person and the family from which they are coming? Right now, what is happening, we are seeing infiltration of a lot of people in the country, and particularly in the context of India. How will India overcome the menace? And it is only by due diligence, because um, a gig economy maybe is useful for people who are educated, but what about the uneducated class? How would those folks be deployed and at the same point of time are utilized in the best possible manner? And another example, I'll just finish off right now, is there was a time, and this is, I'm again going back maybe a decade back, because this has been the orchestration by a few of the operators who wanted to drive the economy in their favor, whereas all these people who are helpers at, and particularly I'm talking about India right now, because most of the people are looking are in a nuclear format. Nuclear format means there are nuclear families, not many members in the families. So all these gig workers who are helpers, they approached these people saying that we need to have an Aadhaar card, or we need to have some kind of uh, uh, Aadhaar and all that stuff. They just wanted to build their identity to have a Delhi address or New Delhi address. And let me tell you, having a Delhi address on the Aadhaar card uh, is next to impossible if given today's game time, because this COVID situation, uh, many cases are pending before the court of law whereby these helpers or people who were assisting the senior citizen, or for that matter just were employed, now they are claiming to be the owners of these buildings or houses or flats or whatever the gig which was being played. So the point here is a lot has been achieved by these operators, but a lot where the justice system has to be questioned, and the justice system has to look into the data set as to how these people were able to even procure these kind of stuff. So this is one point, and here the RERA acts come into existence, and particularly personally what I feel is because this is to do with the stakeholders, and obviously the current government and the previous government, because over the years after independence it was kind of a monopoly in India, so a lot of corruption happened, and to combat corruption blockchain was introduced, and still I feel blockchain is still in the infancy stage in terms of India, because even with the RERA and everything, the documentation are not proper, even the Aadhaar cards and everything, the address again is being misrepresented by the authorities, because they were looking at a bigger picture whereby, say for example, I'll talk about my own stuff. So wherever I live in terms of in Delhi, so nearby places which is like probably 10 years or 15 years from now would be in the acquisition zone. So that data set has been combined in the Aadhaar card itself, which is wrong data. So the point here is when the input data is wrong, whatever AI we are trying to develop in any ways whatsoever is never going to give the correct results. And when the AI is not being worked out, maybe people are getting 100 marks, but that's not the real data set. When the input data is wrong, whatever you do come what may, the output won't be the real data set. So that is the submission right now, and perhaps let's look into the net neutrality in detail and how these OTT platforms can be questioned. Is the question the uh, the regulators need to answer? I think TRI has to look very deep into it, because still now we are just beating around the bush in terms of the numbers, laws, and whatever the write up is. And obviously, everybody's using these LLM models. So just be careful, because all these LLM models at the back end is being fed with a lot of hallucinated data, and with the hallucinated data you'll always get hallucinated results. So that hallucinated results is not going to take the country forward. So yeah, that's a submission.